Okay, we got a new update coming. If you actually look at the game right now, on the BattleNet itself, you can see there is a scheduled update, which is the July 20th, which is what I've been saying July 20th was going to be when there was the new update. Now, this new update, what is actually coming? Well, there's one thing I know for a fact is coming, and that's going to be the ability to have a class change. So you can go from one class to another, meaning if you're a necromancer, you can go from a necromancer to a barbarian or a wizard to a monk or whatever class change you really want to be able to do. I don't know if this is going to be a paid or free service, but what I do know for a fact is when you change, all your legendary gems will come with you from the one class to the other. However, keep in mind when you change classes, your legendary gear will not come with you, meaning your essence transfers, etc., are going to stay back on like your necromancer, crusader, whatever your original class was, and the class you go to, let's say like monks, the new one, you're going to have to re-grind back out those legendaries to get all the different legendary items to be able to do all your different builds. So there will be a bit of a grind directly after class changing. You should be aware of that. Now, I do know you get yourself a set of equipment right as the class change happens. So you're going to be getting some gear to start with. You're not just going to have a naked character, but I don't know whether or not that gear is set at the same combat rating as your previous class legendaries were. If it's set down to like 1800 flat or what it is, we're just going to have to see as that comes out. Now, in terms of other content added to the game, I was doing some speculation that because if you look at it here, this is all blood themed. If you go in the game, the battle pass is all blood themed. There was the Hungry Moon, which was a blood moon type of event. I've been speculating that because of all of these different things, maybe we're getting a Blood Knight class. There was a data mine back in January that showed the Blood Knight skills. I thought maybe on the 20th we're going to get a big update with a Blood Knight class. This is literally all speculation and me putting pieces together. I do not have any actual factual evidence of this or messages from the dev or anything about this. This is just a guess by me. The other content, I don't have information on either. We're going to all have to learn this together. I will, however, tell you exactly what I would like to see and what I think would be crucially important for the July 20th update. I think there's a few parts in the game that need to be updated. My own personal opinion, if we're looking at it first and foremost, is I think the reward structure for some of the activities need to be changed. I think Shadow Wars are not exciting enough for people to show up, so people aren't incentivized to show up for Shadow Wars. Plus, it's a big 20-minute downtime when you're just sitting there doing nothing on the Shadow Wars literally every time anyway. Treasure Goblins should show up, Orange Minions should show up, or just cut the timer down to like 5-minute timer of waiting. The 20-minute timer to get everyone in for the Shadow War is a little bit ridiculous when there's nothing going on. Plus, the rewards aren't good enough for it. By the time you get to the end, you get, you know, a legendary crest at the very end for doing all of it. So I feel like the rewards should be either buffed a little bit or the timer cut down. Or someone had a really good suggestion, which is that after the Shadow War, why not give a little bit miniature version of like what the Immortals get when they win, where they get this big magic find bonus? What about after the Shadow War, everyone that participated in the Shadow War gets a 50% magic find bonus or something just temporarily, just to incentivize people being in the Shadow War? I feel like there's some smart things we can do that won't necessarily ruin the game for WoWs and won't necessarily buff free-to-play too much that Blizzard won't make their profit anymore. I feel like these are smart, easy enough changes that will incentivize people to play. There's some other larger changes I would like to see if we're really talking perfect world type of theory here, where I would love to see things like the battlegrounds have 2v2 arenas, where I could go with my favorite friend and do 2v2 arenas that were rated. Maybe even you could just copy it straight out of WoW Arena. I would love to see stuff like that. Maybe the balance of the game wouldn't be quite right, and maybe the wings, you know, the people with the Giga Chad wings would climb to the top. But you know what? I'm okay with losing. I'm okay with losing because I would just want to do it regardless. I think would be fun. I think there's a lot of really easy to implement game modes that will go a long way in terms of content, because I do actually believe that we have at the core of the game a pretty decent game engine that is running fun, interactive fight gameplay. Even the overworld grinding, while it is boring, is still kind of exciting because the moves and the fighting itself isn't too bad. So I feel like we could play around that by adding some more game modes to that. Myself, I would like to also see more focus on overworld events. So I'd like to see things like the Haunted Carriage getting buffed in terms of rewards, or maybe being more active. The Ancient Arenas may be the most fun part of the entire game. Things like that, having more rewards or being more active. I feel like there's a lot of really good events in the game itself that don't get enough hype, don't get enough rewards, and don't have enough driving power. Also, it might be better to have, you know, the notifications that always just spam you Shadow Assembly. Maybe just send notification one time for each, but it would be great if it says like the Haunted Carriage is starting soon or the Ancient Arena is starting soon. Announce it to the server so that the server knows there's a big event that's happening, you know, in each difficulty, and that people can show up for that. If we want it to feel like a living, breathing world, I don't know why we're only announcing like 1 million of the Shadow Lotteries and we're not actually announcing the Overworld events themselves. So I think some minor changes in the way the game actually functions would be large in terms of the way the health of the game could progress. That's my own personal opinion. I also want to point out one other thing. I've looked at the data. Diablo Immortal seems to actually be trending up in terms of how many people are not only searching for it on YouTube, but on Google. And in terms of gameplay itself, there seems to be more people in it than I would have thought at this point in it, and it's actually growing. I would have thought the game would have been pretty dead by now. It had a lot of negative press right in the beginning. Even people like me will come up here and freely state the pay to win's a little bit out of control in this game, and by a little bit we mean a lot of it. You know, we're just being generous by that, but yeah, the pay to win is a problem, etc. And even with all of that negative publicity, people are still basically playing the game and still liking the game. Like it's got better reviews than I would have thought at this point. So I'm anxious to see what happens on July 20th here, because I feel like there's a significant amount of weight on the shoulders where people are joining the game, and maybe there's enough people that could be swayed by a really good update to be like, I'm going to stay around a while longer. Or if we get a really bad update that's just like a nothing burger, or, you know, worse yet, let's just say it's like a huge update and the only thing is like one legendary crest reward and all this other stuff. If we get like another Hungry Moon type of event in a row, it could be discouraging enough where we lose some of either those long veteran players, or it could be discouraging enough that some of the new players are like, well, these new events aren't that exciting and don't hop along as well. So I think there's a lot of pressure on this July 20th event. So we're going to see what happens. I will be streaming the live event itself once the update comes out. I will be live on YouTube for this. So make sure you hit the bell on YouTube if you want to be notified, because we're going to be reviewing as soon as we have the patch notes, etc. I'm going to go over it live. Appreciate y'all watching. About 70% of the people that watch these videos aren't subscribed. If you're one of those people and you're watching all my videos every day and you enjoy these Diablo Immortal talks, please consider hitting the sub button below. Love y'all, and I'll see you on the next video.